Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore stories and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this week we are doing travel stories. So that's when you send in your best travel stories to be read aloud, and we hear from guests on their favorite travel stories also. So send in your favorite travel stories to our email, culturecultshow@gmail.com. And remember to comment, rate, and subscribe to the show. Cheers and enjoy. Hi, y'all, and welcome back. We have another cousin on today. I have like 50 billion cousins, so this may be a trend. It's cousin and guest Emma Collins.
Just one of the cousins.
Just one of the cousins, one of the 50 billion. Welcome, Emma.
Yay.
What does it feel like to be on your first podcast?
So good. I'm actually kind of scared because people can't see me, and I realized that half the reason I'm funny is because I have like facial expressions. So no one's gonna find me funny. Lowest rated episode.
She needs to use her hands. But let's get people situated. Where are you at right now? You're in Scotland, but you're from the South, aren't you?
I always say when people ask me here where I'm from in America, I try to be mysterious, and I'm like, I'm from a lot of places. I usually say Texas mostly.
Yeah. Also, I want to tell the listener we have a ghost in this chat. It's Emma's best friend, soulmate, and roommate, but she doesn't have headphones.
We're introducing ghosts.
You're gonna, if you hear some extra laughter or comments, it's probably from the ghost. But I told the ghost to be quiet most of the time. So
yeah. So ghost, shut up.
I haven't figured out how to record yet with multiple people. So, we're figuring it out.
This is a work in progress.
So you're from Texas mostly, but you're kind of Scottish now. What are Scottish things that you are now?
Scottish Emma is now a pessimist.
Oh,
people would always tell me that they were like, we don't like Americans because they're so happy about everything. They're so enthusiastic. Oh, I never got it. True. And then I realized that they're also pessimistic. And so now I'm pessimistic. Like I go home and people are like, what a beautiful day. And I'm like, it's too fucking hot. Like I'm so mean now. I'm such a bitch now. It sucks. When I worked at the tapas restaurant, there was this one guy who, whenever they found out I was from America, people asked me really weird questions, but there was this one guy who we never said anything to each other really, except he would see me every day and he'd be like, let's get a y'all to get the shift going. And I was like, hey, y'all. He would get so excited about it, and I never knew what to say. Do I just say the word y'all or do I make a sentence?
I actually probably should explain to our listeners what y'all is, because I say that every episode and I'm not going to stop. And I'm actually going to have hey y'all hats.
Oh my God.
I know.
You are branding it.
I get scooped by all of the South.
Like everyone does that.
You're not special. But for all of our worldly listeners, it's pretty much saying hey you all. It's short, sweet, it's better. Clearly it has a lot of hype. People get excited. So that's that explanation for others. Yeah. But when I was in Scotland, I lived with Emma in her flat for 2 months. She has the cutest apartment. It's on this park. You can see the Edinburgh Castle and you can see the volcano, Arthur's Seat. It's sick. Like, I don't think people live like that normally.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Edinburgh, it looks like it's come straight out of a storybook. And even it's so different from LA because LA is so sunny and it's so sunny, but it's also not a storybook. And they have literal dog parties in the park. People have dog parties and they'll have sweaters that match.
Yeah, facts. I remember one time I was walking the street and there was this beautiful white fluffy dog that ran up to me in slow motion. And I was like petting it. And I looked at the owner and I was like, your dog, it's an angel. And then he was like, oh my God, her name is Angel.
But honestly, all the dogs there look like angels. They're all out of a magazine. Scotland's so beautiful. What are some recommendations you would give to people besides the castle?
Oh, remember we went to a place in this area called Brentsfield, and remember we got Aztec coffee. And
yes, for some reason that cafe is really hot inside, so get ready to sweat. For some reason, it's so hot, but the guys are so nice.
Yeah, they loved us.
And it's like a chocolate store. They have a bunch of chocolate we would go get, and they have Aztec coffee. It's delicious.
No, it was Aztec hot chocolate, and then there was Italian, and one of them is really intense, but I think the Mexican one or whatever is spicy.
So
really good.
I feel like Scotland has incredible hot chocolate. Incredible hot chocolate. Honestly, I didn't even care about hot chocolate until I went to Scotland, and now that's all I want to talk about. Speaking of obsessions, I want to mention your obsession with Spanish culture. What was the spark in you loving Spanish and Latin culture?
I don't know. So obviously I took Spanish in high school, and I've always really enjoyed Latin American culture. I just find it so cool and so diverse because every country is so different and unique. Yeah. Every country in Latin America has a different accent. They have a different slang, and it's so cool. And I think I just realized at some point that I really connected to the language itself. And I remember listening to myself speaking it and like realizing I was able to speak it and read it. And I was like, I love this. It felt like I'd spoken it before or something.
You were learning Spanish in your university.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So it developed definitely the more because I realized I used to kind of bully myself for studying Spanish. I was like, this is just a hobby. Like I need something to do in my life. But I realized that you learn so many different things just within the one course. You study literature, you study film, you study culture, you study history. I know so much random shit about the history of different countries in Latin America. I love that. I have written so many essays on the Spanish Civil War and Franco's dictatorship. I didn't really actually catch up with myself and realize that I actually have so much knowledge about all that now.
That's so sick. Spanish is really hard for me. I don't know why, but I do have to say my favorite dialect or my favorite thing is Mexican Spanish. I love Mexican Spanish. So that's been my entryway into it because my ex, he's from Mexico and he took me there and I fell in love with it. But I also want to give you a chance to tell the world about reggaeton because I know you love reggaeton.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking on my reggaeton lately, but every once in a while I'll listen to it and I'll just get so involved in it because the only partying I did was I would only go to the reggaeton nights because I love them. And it really helped me with my pronunciation because if I can learn a rap, I can do anything.
Literally.
Like, if I can rap like any reggaeton artist, I'm in. I would always be like talking to Spanish speakers. I'd be like, do you want to hear me rap? And they'd be like, oh, that's okay. And I'd be like, I'll just tune it out. And they're like, oh no. How embarrassing that is. Like, imagine someone comes up to you and they're like, can I rap? And you're like,
no.
Well, I'm pretty sure no one wants me rapping to them. Like
true. With no music. Just a cappella. Rapping.
You're like, please stop.
Well, I know you love Bad Bunny. And I wanted to give my intake on reggaeton. I wasn't really that into it because I worked at a bar for years and all they played was reggaeton. So imagine working 5 days a week, 8 hours a day and hearing the same beat. I was going crazy, but then you reintroduced me to it. And I know you love Bad Bunny and you were getting really into it. I have to say that I do like the song Cairo. Caro.
Caro.
I like that one. Yeah. But why should people be more passionate about Bad Bunny? I know you talk about Puerto Rico and stuff.
Yeah. Also, he paved the way. I find that a lot of old reggaeton artists they have a very machismo attitude. If you watch a lot of the old reggaeton music videos, it's literally just like these like 50-year-old men surrounded by these 20-year-old models with incredible bodies and bikinis. And the whole song is just like them rapping to the camera and the women are all over him. And it's just every video is like that. And Bad Bunny just pulled up, for example, is literally just about him talking about how Caro means rich. And he's talking about how liking himself and loving himself is the only kind of wealth he needs that might be a really bad translation. I can't really think about the lyrics right now, but also in multiple music videos, he uses disabled models, plus size models. There's one where he exposes domestic abuse. He uses his platform for actual good. Yeah.
I really, really respect that. And that's why I warmed up a lot more to reggaeton and Bad Bunny. But I just wanted to give a little intro to Emma and her passions. Scotland, I guess being pessimistic. It's like your quality now. Not what I thought you were going to say. Oh, I drink more tea. And you're like,
I have an accent.
You're like, no, I just hate the world. I'm a bitch. I'm like, okay, well, there you go. That is Emma. Thank you for joining. But so I'm going to tell one of my travel stories. Then we're going to read a fan travel story. And then if Emma or the ghost Jeff wants to tell a travel story, we'll let her talk. Okay. So
we'll give her a voice.
We'll give her a voice. Just like Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny would give her a voice.
He would. The deaf ghost. Her name is Deaf, so that's why it's kind of funny. But so I'm gonna tell my travel story. I'm gonna tell a shorter one because I think the fan story is really, really good. And so I was in the Philippines a couple years ago after backpacking Asia for a couple months, and I literally went to this random scuba diving camp, mainly because the customs guy, I never met such intense custom people. And I went up and I was like, hi, how are you? And he's like, which island are you going to? And I was like, oh, I don't know. He's like, you can't enter without knowing an island. And I was like, you know what? You're right. That is ignorant of me. I should know an island of yours before I go into your country. And I was like, I don't know an island. And so I turned to the person behind me and I was like, where are you going? And he was like, oh, I'm going to an island called Domagere, to a scuba diving camp. And I turned to the guy. I was like, I'm going there. And he looked at me and he was like, are you kidding me? You're going to follow a random person? I was like, yeah. Well, if you didn't question me so hard, I would have a plan, but you put me on the spot. So I followed this guy. He's actually from San Francisco, to a scuba diving camp. And I got taught how to scuba dive for free by an unlicensed diver. I found out afterwards.
What the fuck?
He wasn't licensed.
He's like, let's go. He doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
No, he doesn't have a license, but he was a really good teacher. But I only went 5 feet because I was like, that's enough.
Oh my God.
I don't think I'm a scuba diver, but it was weird because everyone at the camp was so into it. And I had to be like, wow, it's great. But I think I'm claustrophobic. Anyways,
the water is so big that you're claustrophobic.
I didn't like the idea that your breath. Have you scuba dived?
No, okay. I don't think I would like that either.
Try it. I definitely think always try everything, but I didn't like that my air, what I need to live and breathe, is on my back in a tank.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so when you're down there, once you relax, it's good, but you just hear your breath going.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh my God. Like if this tank just falls off, there goes my breath. Like
you lost your breath and everyone else is breathing around you. You're like, oh my God.
Honestly, I was 5 feet down, so I just swim up. I'm being so dramatic. Guys, I'm dying. I'm dying. They're like, go up. But real scuba divers, they would go night diving and they would go like 30, 40 feet down. And you can't just go up. If you go up, you actually could get vertigo. And
the bends.
And you get, which is a really, really good Radiohead album. Just putting that out there. You can get the bends and you get dizzy and then you just die. So
it scares the shit out of me. I like curious. I think that's the thing that would stress me out most.
But I literally could just go up. I was like 5 feet, but I went to the scuba diving camp. Everyone there was so passionate about it. And it was really cool. I slept in a hammock for 2 weeks on the beach. It was the most beautiful, quiet time in my life. But after 2 months of traveling, I was ready to be back in LA, and I booked a flight back to Manila. And I booked a super nice high-rise Airbnb with a pool. I was ready to ball out and I wanted to get really, really drunk. So I'm running around Manila, which is the capital of the Philippines. And I was asking everyone and everything. I was like, where's the wine? Where is the wine in this town? I couldn't find liquor or wine. And I remember every time I went to a man and I was like, where's your wine? They were like, and I was like, oh, as a woman, should I not be asking about wine?
Oh my God.
So I looked extra frantic on top of that, because I don't think maybe women don't drink there, but I wanted to. So after an hour, I found this really, really disgusting sweet wine, and it's a huge bottle. And I went back to my room and I was having the time of my life, dancing around, jumping on the bed, like outside on the balcony, throwing the wine around. So I had a good time and I slept really happily. And then the next day I woke up again to my 6 a.m. flight, and I'm looking through my email and I can't find the check-in. And I was like, hello. I was like,
oh no,
what's wrong with my airplane? Where's my airplane? And so that's when my chest started tightening. And I was like, holy shit. And I looked again at the time. My flight left at 6 p.m. the night before.
Oh my God. While you were dancing.
While I was hassling poor Filipino men. Where's your wine? My flight was like,
they're like, go to your flight.
And while I was dancing around my house, woo, I'm balling out. My flight was literally going over my head.
They could see you down there. They're like, idiots.
Idiots and bad wine. Bad taste. It was honestly so crushing. And then I tried to cry and get out of it. And I went to the China Airlines. I was like, please. And they're like, well, why'd you miss it? And I was like,
you're like, oh.
I was like, I was drunk. So yeah, that's my little story. I just want to check your flight time. I don't know what the lesson in that is, but and
is don't prioritize alcoholism. Your journey home.
What is wrong with me? I was just so excited. So that was the worst feeling in the world, not being able to find my check-in. So that was my story. And I want to tell the fan story. This one's really good. I'm telling this story with you because I know we both love chaos and oh yeah, we love chaos and chaotic stories. Okay, here it goes. Me and my sister Jen were on a 16-hour bus ride in the middle of the hot, hot summer, going from Graz, Austria to Rome, Italy with no air conditioning. Ooh, that sounds miserable. Okay.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
It sounds awful. We wanted to book seats to sit together, but there were only single seats available in each row. So we booked ones across the bus from each other. I was sitting next to an elderly woman who I think was Italian, and Jim was sitting next to someone else. But there was a middle-aged man sitting behind her who was being gross and hitting on me for a while. Jen turned around and yelled at him and cursed him out and threatened him, and he was loud back. And it was really scary, but no one around seemed to care. So around 11 p.m., midnight, the bus stops in the middle of the road in the middle of nowhere in the pitch black. And the bus driver says something in a different language, not sure which one. And someone said it was my stop. And then multiple people started pushing me off the bus. They're like, get off. And you're like, where?
Why?
What did I do? So it was just me in the middle of the road trying to get back on the bus. Like, she's like trying to get back on. They're like pushing her out. They're like, no, this is your stop.
Is her sister still on the bus?
Yes. So
oh my God.
They pushed only Bree out, but Jen is still on the bus. And so
Jen's like sitting there. She's like, oh, get back on.
I know. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, this isn't our stop. It's the middle of nowhere, like the middle of nowhere. And all these people are pushing her off this bus, and we're just nodding and smiling and pointing and looking. No, this is your stop. Like we were in
like
a horror
sacrifice or something.
Yes, like we were in a horror movie, and these people were possessed. And Jen was still on the bus, and they weren't letting her off. They were holding her on the bus and keeping us separate, which is, I know that's actually really scary. And we were both yelling, and it was so scary. And because no one understood us, we didn't understand anyone. And finally, after what seems like forever, they pushed Jen off the bus, and the bus driver comes around and literally throws our bags in the middle of the road. Not near us at all. And we had to run and get them before they rolled away. And the bus hurried up and leaves. It felt like a fucked up movie, like a comedy to the people who understood the language, but a horror movie to us.
I don't get it. What, did they ever figure out why they got pushed off?
No, the story keeps going, but I just like the chaos of that. Just throw the bags off and they're running for their bags.
I don't know if I'd be Karen or if I'd just be like, oh, why?
Like, I think I'd be like, why? What did I do?
Yeah, no, I'd be like, no, I want to stay. I don't care.
So it keeps going. They had no clue where to go because there's not one street light, and we're literally in the middle of the street, and we had to find this really weird strip mall randomly open at midnight. And we went to this chicken place, and I ordered chicken. And they gave, but
she should.
She's literally vegan too. So she's like, okay, I guess I'll have chicken tonight. In the middle of the night. And they gave us the wrong order, and we were so defeated. We didn't say anything.
You order chicken and they give you chicken at the chicken place. And you're like, oh.
We have nothing else, ma'am. She's like, this is the wrong order.
Like, we have one thing.
So they gave us the wrong order. We were so defeated. We didn't say anything. And then this random couple from India came in, and they just happened to speak English. They were our guardian angels, and no one else was around. I felt like a SpongeBob episode. When they were in the rock bottom. Do you know what episode that is in SpongeBob?
Yeah.
When they're and they felt like we were in the SpongeBob episode. We were at rock bottom, but the couple were so nice and helped us out, and they were going to stay at the same place, and they led us along, and we're still in contact with them today. So such a wild 16 hours. Yeah.
But why did they get kicked?
I don't know. I think honestly, this is a pure perfect situation where language barrier.
Yeah.
Because probably Jen started yelling at that guy, but the people on the bus didn't realize that he was sexually harassing her.
Yeah.
So in their eyes, they just see Jen yelling at a person.
I don't know. Why was it a group effort though? Right. If it were me, if I saw some scene going on, I'd be like, whatever. I would be like, we're pushing her off the bus.
Yeah, this was a group effort. So when did they conspire to be like, yo, midnight?
The whole bus.
They're getting out. We're pushing them off. When did they all talk?
The other girl stayed on.
They kicked off Bree, who didn't yell. They kept the girl who did yell, which was Jen.
Why did they kick her off the bus?
I don't know. And the fact that they were smiling, they're like, this is your stop. Get off.
You get off the bus now.
She's like, my bags, my sister. They're like, that's a good chicken place.
So fucked if they like actually separated them and then didn't give her bags. Oh my God. There.
Wait, actually, I didn't even think about that. That's actually a horror film.
Because she put up such a fight. That's scary.
Yeah.
Where was the other sister gonna go?
That's actually so scary. But the story confuses me. And I love that they did meet a really nice couple in the end that helped them out.
That's cute.
Yeah, because
there's a redemption arc.
Yeah, because people can be assholes sometimes, but honestly, most people besides these people on this bus are really nice, and they won't conspire an entire team of people against you to throw you off.
Oh my God. Thank God that couple came in. Yeah. That's the hero.
They didn't even know where they were. I'm sure they didn't know if they were in Italy or Austria, because around that border, the languages really are mixed. So they probably didn't even know what country they were in.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
Just in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. So I really want to tell that story with you. Can you please tell the French?
Yes. Okay. Basically, my older sister, Grace, but
Grace. We call her Gravy.
Her formal name is Gravy. So Gravy went to high school, a boarding school in France, in this town called Aix-en-Provence. And she had an apartment right in the city center. And it's like a very safe city. It's mainly students. It's not sketchy at all, basically. And so I used to be extremely paranoid, especially in high school, about being attacked all the time. I would just be in my room at night. I'd be like, how do I get out of this? I was freaking out all the time. So I found it very difficult to feel safe. So I remember Gravy had this party one night with all of her friends, and Carolyn was with us at this time. And the party was dying down at like 3 a.m. or something. We were like, we should go on a walk. We're so cool. And so it's beautiful. You know, it has that yellowy, pretty street lights. It's so peaceful, and there's not a lot of people out, but it's just really pretty. Nothing can go wrong. And all of a sudden, this fucking like middle-aged man slithers out of the shadows. Like
this is all your nightmares are happening right now.
No, I'm not even kidding. I wish I could imitate, because it was like he wasn't there and then he was. He literally just slid out. He was like, bonsoir. and we were like, oh. And he just started speaking to us in French. Obviously, I don't understand French. And so he's just like, speaking to us. And me and Carolyn are like, this is fucking weird. So we don't say anything. We don't even say we don't speak French. We just kind of are like, okay. And we start walking around him. And as we're walking around him, he gives me the most offended look ever. Like he looks at me like I have just brutally assaulted him. And I remember seeing his face and I was like, oh.
What did I do?
And so as I'm passing him, he walks by me and he just kicks me in the leg. Like he just decks me in the fucking shin. Like for no reason. And I was so shocked. I turned around. I didn't say anything. I was like, ah. And it hurt. It wasn't just a light little tag. I mean, he kicked me in this fucking street. Genuinely. But this is the same thing. I have no idea what the fuck he said that made him kick me. Like, what did he say? What did he say that deserved me being kicked in the leg? I didn't say anything. We walked around him.
What if he's
like a creepy man?
I wish you were with Gravy at that point so she could tell us what he said.
Yes, to this day. Like I just don't get why he fucking kicked me. And it hurt. Like I had a bruise on my leg. I was like, Carolyn, let's go home now. And she was like, okay.
I love how all these years you've been in your like room in Texas, you were preparing for this and you weren't prepared to get kicked.
To be fair, there were things that were outside my control in my scenario. I didn't speak French. No. I couldn't have a comeback. Imagine if I was like, you suck. And he was like, je ne parle pas anglais, bitch. Like,
just start like, kicking each other. And Caroline's like, this is supposed to be a nice walk. Is this a French thing? French people out there, is this a thing? Is this a cultural thing? If someone offends you, are you allowed to kick them in the shin? Like, I don't know. So let's find out. But either way, both of these stories, mysteries, mainly because of the language barrier and they're pure chaos.
Yes. I don't think I was in serious danger. Mine is just sad. Like, what did I get?
I know. My story is just pathetic. It's like, I should figure out my issue with wine.
The only villain is you.
I know. I caused my own situation.
You're the problem.
But okay, so now we're going to cue in Deaf Ghost. So go ahead, Deaf Ghost.
My name is Defnet. I'm 22. I'm from Turkey. And my favorite color is purple.
Blue.
Sometimes.
Oh. Sometimes. I was really close. Quirky.
Well, Emma told me to tell this story, so I'm going to tell it. So when I was 16, my family and I went to this holiday to Bali, actually, with my childhood friends. So 2 families. And we were just chilling. What's so obnoxious about this whole thing is basically one of my childhood friends, she had an Australian boyfriend. And so he came from Australia to Bali to be on the vacation with us, which is fucking scandalous.
Oh.
Like, it is. But none of our parents speak English. So this poor Australian man is just hanging along with us. But he came, we were fine, we were vibing. And then we booked this ferry to go to one of the smaller islands.
Yeah.
And this was 2015. So at the time we had terrorist attacks happening in Turkey, which was scary, but we were desensitized to it kind of. And we were two lazy families. So we ended up missing our ferry and had to go back to our hotel. And then, bro, literally, I shit you not, 2 hours later, we hear on the news that there was some kind of engine issue with that ferry and it fucking blew up. I don't know if the whole thing blew up. I don't know.
You missed your flight because you're stupid. She missed her boat and she missed near-death experience.
I actually am speechless. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.
She told me that. I was so shocked. What the heck?
No.
Wait, are these people okay?
I don't know what happened. I knew people were evacuated.
Okay.
I don't know. I think people were injured and whatever. I don't know. It was just like so fucking random. But the thing is, because we were so used to this kind of climate in the country, we were just like, whatever, we didn't die, bitches. But then this poor Australian man, he was traumatized. And then we carried on with our trip and we were going to this like fucking...
He's like, I need to go home.
We were going to this coffee tasting where these fucking ferrets eat the beans and they shit it out.
What?
And you taste that coffee and we're just like, shit coffee.
He's like crying.
He's like, could have been me.
That could have been me.
You're gonna find this hilarious. Actually, our tour guide, he spoke Turkish, but he's born and raised in Bali, and like he had never been to Turkey, but spoke perfect Turkish.
That's amazing.
So, I know, it's incredible. So when we were in the car going to places, he would randomly start singing Turkish folk songs. Poor man. I mean, they broke up till this day. I don't know what happened to him. We were singing with this man, like Turkish folk songs. He's just like sitting there, like, what the fuck is happening? Oh no.
He's like, hello.
Oh my God.
We must die today. We're like let's get coffee made from parrots. Terrifying. So these ferrets are eating the beans, then pooping them, and then you grind it up. Yeah, and you drink it.
That is really
I don't know what it actually does. I feel it has to do with the way they digest it, and I don't know.
What? Another way. I feel like that's some tourist shit where they're like, yo, they'll play for anything. They're like, get cousin Eddie's ferret, feed in the coffee, poop it out, and then we'll make it money. And then y'all are like, we must die today, but we're drinking ferret poop. I feel like this whole situation's just weird. Every level of it is weird.
That Australian man's like, this is the wrong family. And this is not
the wrong family for me. Also, if I just die today, I'm not drinking ferret poop. Like that's not what's happening.
The only one who saw what was really going on.
Yeah, this whole time you thought he was like, wow, he's thinking about life right now. And he's like, why the fuck are we drinking ferret poop right now? And you're like, you poor Australian man. You don't get it.
You don't understand Turkish, do you, freak?
He's like, why are we drinking this? I love that story. I don't know. We are laughing, but I don't understand. Like maybe I am the Australian man. I'm scarred. What happened?
Like, this shit happened to me once more, by the way. We went to like Vienna for the school trip because I went to an Austrian school. And then as we were coming back to Istanbul, there was this bomb threat at the airport.
See, me and Emma's face are shocked and Dev's literally laughing.
Dev's like, it's hilarious.
Everyone started panicking, and all my class, we just sat down and we were like laughing and joking. Like, we're gonna die.
We're gonna die. I mean, there's some definitely levels I want to get to that. If I was a therapist, like I want to go through that, but I'm not. But that's interesting. Especially when I cover Turkey and stuff, I want to talk about like, why is this casual? You know, that's interesting to me. We're all from different parts of the world and we all have different reactions to life experiences. Like bomb threats, nothing. But for me, ferret poop, that's something to me. That is wrong. That is not okay.
Important.
I don't know. Maybe I'm a coffee connoisseur, but you shouldn't be drinking that. End of podcast. Thank you for coming on, Jeff. But before I do finish up this episode, I want to shout out people's art because we're artsy people out here. And the girl who wrote in that story, her band name is called Girl Homes. And it's so good. It's kind of, imagine if early Disney Lizzie McGuire played punkish pop. It's really bubbly, but also edgy. And she wanted to shout out her band. So her band handle is Girl Homes. And she wears all this cool 60s pop outfits. So I'll post all of her bandmates' Instagram handles. And she's also in this band called Special Sexy Sleazy, which y'all would really like this band. They haven't recorded yet, but I've seen their show and I think my soul went somewhere. I went somewhere else.
Was it Special
Sexy? No, Special Sexy Sleazy, which is such a good band name. Sexy
Sexy, sleazy.
I'm also going to post that on Instagram and stuff. But do y'all have any artsy friends that y'all want to shout out?
Yeah. So one of our friends, I think him and his dad mostly, they made this YouTube channel where they kind of promote South Asian artists and music. And so it started, I think, at the beginning of the pandemic, and it was just kind of like
blown up.
Yeah. It has at least 1 million subscribers and followers now. But yeah, so it's just crazy because they just got so big and they do a lot of collabs. I don't know if anyone knows Bella Fleck. He's kind of a jazzy dude. My parents
I love jazz.
like him. They were so shocked my friend was interacting with this Bella Fleck jazzy person because my parents were like, we used to go to her shows all the time in New York and we were cool. And I was like, okay. So it's really cool. It's got really big. And if you're interested in listening to South Asian music and learning about it.
Oh, the music he posts are awesome.
It's insane.
I don't think it's that big in the world spectrum, Southeast Asian music. He's doing incredible stuff. So for my listeners, if y'all have travel stories about, bomb threats, bombs being on boats, ferrets pooping, what else we cover? Being thrown off a bus, getting too drunk, missing your flight. If you have any kind of stories, you can send them to my email, culturecultshow@gmail.com, or you can just DM me on Instagram @culturecultshow. But yeah, thank y'all for being on. What y'all think? We had so much fun. Ghost Steph has come back to life. Yes. And actually it kind of worked out that we did 3 people. I was kind of worried that you couldn't hear me, but yay. Well, thanks for being on.
I have great hearing. I just got my ears checked, actually.
I don't know what you just
said. She's like, I want to shout out my ears.
No, bro, I was wearing. Oh my God. I'm going to tell you after.
Tell me after.
Disgusting happened to me.
Oh, okay. For the next travel story, Def's ears and disgusting.
I got nose shamed by my doctor.
You got nose shamed?
Oh yeah.
Okay. We will discuss post, but also in the future, I will be having memberships where you can sign up, and for a couple of dollars a month, you'll get to have uncensored, unfiltered conversations. We get to hear about why she got nose shamed and why her ears are
so good.
But alas, send in your travel stories, and thank y'all for coming on. And
thank y'all.
And cheers till next time.